the regularly scheduled meeting of the Calaveras County Planning Commission to order at 9 o'clock. And we are going to get started with an oath of office for our two new members. And I guess I need to stand down there so you can see them.
What's the stand?
I
I
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties that I'm about to enter.
Thank you. And if you guys could just sign that and return it to me. Move on to our next piece of business. We're very excited to have you here. Thank you. Michael get his signature on there, and then we will stand again for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any staff announcements?
Madam Chair, not particularly, but I would like to welcome the two new planning commissioners. I would look forward to working with you. And it's been a while. We've been kind of running on empty with three commissioners, and having you on board is a spark. And hopefully we'll have a good relationship together. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does the sound seem really low to everybody? For Gabriel, are you not on?
I did.
There you go.
I did have it on.
Thought it was just me there for a minute. Okay, and any agenda changes today?
None, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So now is an opportunity for the public to speak on any item of interest to the Planning Commission not on the agenda today. Is there anybody in the audience or online who would like to speak?
I'd like to speak. Go ahead, Elizabeth. Hi, thank you for this opportunity. I live in the woods, and we have heard there's development behind this. I know this is on the agenda, but we're right on Manual Way, Creek Circle, and we're wondering about the traffic impact of that kind of community behind us. Can anyone address that?
I don't think we're clear on exactly which project you're speaking about.
Behind off Manual Road, there's right now forest where animals go. But there's going to be an art community put in there with a bunch of homes and stuff. And we're wondering if Manual Road is going to be going through that area or will it remain blocked? Do you know anything about the roads?
So I don't think we're prepared to answer any questions about that today. That will be back on the agenda, I believe, in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So if you'd like to attend, then you'll be able to ask questions and we'll have all the documents in front of us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak today? Then we will close the public comment portion of the agenda. Move on to this consent agenda, which has no items today, and move quickly onto our regular agenda. Item 1, 2022-055, extension of time for approved conditional use permit 2020-074 for the Blue Mountain Electric Company. And we're going to welcome back Madeline, who's going to lead the discussion.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Madeline Flandreau, Planner 3. So today I am presenting the extension of time for conditional use permit 2020-074 for the Blue Mountain Electric Company. The Blue Mountain Electric Company is requesting a 24-month extension of time for conditional use permit 2020-074, which was approved by the Planning Commission on November 10th, 2021. The CUP was for the construction and operation of a community-scale 3-megawatt biomass combined heat and power facility located off of Railroad Flat Road in Wilseyville. The facility is designed to create electricity, heat, and biochar through gasification of woody biomass feedstock, primarily collected from forest source biomass. The electricity produced by the facility is intended to be sold to PG&E on their distribution level circuit. The site, which is the proposed site, which is APN 012-011-014, is located at the eastern edge of the Calaveras County Water District's facility in Wilseyville. This CUP was set to expire on December 31st, 2022, as this project requires a building permit to construct the facility. The building permit needed to be obtained and construction commenced prior to this expiration date. However, the applicant was not able to pull a building permit prior to the expiration, and an application for an extension of time was submitted to the Planning Department on October 6, 2022, requesting a 24-month extension. Since no changes are being proposed to the approved project, the Commission's scope of review is subject to County Code Section 1790-020 for extensions of time, which states that the Planning Commission shall not approve an extension of time unless it makes 3 findings. The first finding is the extension of time is necessary to secure needed approvals from other agencies. So the permit process for this project is pretty extensive, requiring several agreements and permits from multiple agencies. Permits and approvals consist of public works improvement plans, stormwater pollution prevention plan, and obviously county building permits, since this is a new facility. Some of these permits can be issued concurrently, while others have to be issued sequentially. And in order to validate the CUP, County Code indicates that the building permit must be obtained and construction commenced by the expiration date. And they obviously only had 13 months to do that. So in this case, the applicant must obtain approval from all other permits prior to the issuance of a building permit. And other than the building permit, none of the other permits set forth in the CUP approval qualifies to activate the use permit. Therefore, the project must be near completion before the use permit can be activated. And the construction of the project requires removal of commercial tree species. I know 3 of the commissioners, or at least 2 of you, were here when we approved the use permit. So you probably recall it's up in Wilseyville, obviously it's heavily wooded. And the applicant has to comply with CAL FIRE's less than 3-acre conversion process, which requires the services of a registered professional forester and licensed timber operator to complete. And this process took additional time to arrange. Finding number 2, the extension of time is necessary to comply with conditions of project approval. The applicant needs additional time to secure funding to complete all the outstanding conditions required prior to obtaining a building permit to complete the project. In addition, the applicant was asked by lenders to provide additional engineering work to support the application, the funding application, prior to completion of financing. A contract to provide the additional engineering work was completed on August 20th, 2022, and final engineering drawings will enable submission of the grading permit that are currently in progress. And that was as of submittal of the extension request, so maybe the applicant can explain a little bit more on the progress of that. And finding number 3, the permit holder has demonstrated a good faith effort to initiate the use for which the permit has been issued. The applicant has signed a lease agreement with the Calaveras County Water District on September 16th, 2022, because CCWD recently purchased the subject parcel from the original owner, CHIPS. Since their purchase, CCWD has been working on the subject parcel to construct the sewer connection between Wilseyville and West Point, which is affecting the applicant's ability to move forward with the project. The work necessary to complete the conditions of approval is extensive, and the time frame in which the work has to be completed is limited. The applicants have worked diligently toward the completion of the conditions until circumstances resulted in delays due to funding and the purchase of the parcel by CCWD. The planning department sees no detriment to the county in granting the extension pursuant to county code. The proposed extension of time is exempt from the provisions of CEQA pursuant to Section 15061B3. The project is covered by the general rule that CEQA only applies to projects which have the potential for causing a significant effect on the environment. And where it can be seen with certainty that there's no possibility that the activity in question may have a significant effect on the environment, the activity is not subject to CEQA. So in summary, the project remains viable as approved, and the applicants have demonstrated that they are committed to completing the project. They simply need additional time to secure their funding, meet outside agency compliance requirements, and meet all the necessary permit conditions before they'll be able to obtain the necessary building permits to validate their use permit. The applicants are only requesting a 24-month extension and are not proposing any changes to the project. And on behalf of Blue Mountain Electric, Mr. Greg Standel is joining us online, and I'm sure he can answer any additional questions you have regarding what they have been doing for the last year plus.
Does anybody have any questions for Madeline? So would the applicant like to speak?
I would be happy to. I would be happy to. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, again, I'd like to thank the county, in particular, the staff, for their efforts on our behalf. We joke that in this industry, we do not quit. These projects do take a surprisingly long time to go from concept to completion. But we have continued, thanks to the support of CAL FIRE, the United States Water Service, and the Calaveras County Water District, to make great progress on the project. We are just nearing the end of our 3-acre conversion permit that will enable the removal of the trees where the plant is about to go. And I just yesterday received the package on our SWIP permit, which we hope to apply for. So our civil engineering is now in 90% revised, so we anticipate going out to bid to begin that work here very soon. So we are continuing to make good progress. At this point, we have expended and or committed over $4 million on the project, and so I think of it as a diesel freight train headed downhill at this point. But we do need to ask for this additional time. I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have.
This is Tim Laddish, Commissioner. What permits, if any, have you already acquired?
Yes, sir. So we have our authority to construct from the Air District. That time is also already extended for us. We have our registration with California Energy Commission that this is an RPS, Renewable Portfolio Standard eligible project. Those are the biggies in our world. We do need to now move towards permit to do the grading. And like I said, we just received the engineering package together with SWIP, the stormwater prevention plan that will enable those permits to be requested.
So the grading permit has not yet been formally applied for?
No, sir. No, sir. We just had to, we had to finish the SWIP first, and I just got that in hand yesterday. So we do believe that that will be coming, we do believe that will be coming fairly soon, and we have funding to perform that work, thanks to the financial commitments we received from CAL FIRE. So we also anticipate beginning that work as soon as we are able.
Now, part of our job is to determine that you've demonstrated a good faith effort to initiate the use for which the permit has been issued. And I felt that your supporting documents to the planning department were more detailed than the paragraph that they were suggesting we have on that point. Since you're not here, you can't see the proposed replacement paragraph that I'm suggesting. I'd like to read it to you since it's a summary of what you have been doing so that you can correct anything that's on it in case I've got off base. So it would be, the work necessary to complete the conditions of approval was too extensive to be accomplished by December 31st, 2022. Applicant has had extensive dealings with its lenders for obtaining necessary funding, including the closing of a CAL FIRE grant that has required additional steps both from the lenders and from the United States Department of Agriculture, which agency is backlogged. The lenders have required additional engineering, and applicant has contracted for and received additional engineering to help support completion of financing and submission of a grading permit. Applicant has contracted for the removal of logs and wood chip piles that were present when applicant acquired the land. Applicant has conducted extensive negotiations with Calaveras County Water District, CCWD, concerning CCWD's acquisition of the property, the lease back to applicant, coordination of CCWD's sewage linkage plan with its facility in West Point, and provision of utilities to applicant's worksite. Applicant has invested significantly in project tasks. Am I off base on any of that summary?
No, sir. That's the question of my feelings of the career. But yes, that seems fairly accurate. I would only add that we could not be happier with the potential to increase the collaboration for the benefit of both entities with CCWD. The prospects that we're now investigating with them on the potential use of reclaimed water, I think will absolutely be, potentially first of its kind and just a real demonstration of how to lead on water issues, and we're very much looking forward to continuing that work. And that was not something we envisioned when we started working on this project with the community, 10 years ago. I think that's going to be a real special addition.
So would you like to add a little something to that paragraph as far as I say?
Well, I do feel it to be completed. I don't want you to poor man Lynn, I make her work so hard for this project, and she does. But we just have the kindest things to say about CCWD and their commitment to helping us explore innovative ways to be yet more sustainable than we set out to be.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Does anybody else have any questions? I have a quick question, just out of curiosity. Have you guys received a commitment from PG&E for your interconnection? It seems like there were issues with that the last time we saw you guys here a few years ago.
You want to know when I got it? I got it yesterday. Yesterday. And, yeah, in fact, I don't think it'd be appropriate that I say anything more. Mine does not come out well. But yes, we have now a countersigned commitment from PG&E. And I'll leave it at that.
Great.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Last night, yes.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public who would like to speak to this item? Anybody online, Annette?
No other online public comment at this time.
Okay, then we will close the public comment portion of the hearing and come back to the commissioners. And is there anything else anybody would like to discuss? Then do we want to talk about the proposed modification to the resolution?
And I just, the reason why I did this is that I just felt that it's our job to provide evidence that the permit holder has demonstrated a good faith effort to initiate the use for which the permit had been issued. And I felt that, that as stated in the original draft of the resolution, just by saying that the applicant is, amongst other things, that the applicant has worked diligently, seemed to me just to be a kind of a reflective repetition of good faith effort. So I wanted to put in some more details so that it's clear that indeed the applicant has been making good faith efforts. And as I say, I drew this from the applicant's letters and application.
I think it's a great comments. I think we should also incorporate what Greg said earlier about the continued collaboration, how they've come together. I think that's just missing in this summary here. And obviously you didn't have that conversation. We just had that right now. So if we conclude maybe one line that says that the collaboration between the entities has grown, that might be something that should be, 20 years from now when someone looks back at it and goes, what's going on at that time, they can talk about that.
Yeah, I have in there that the applicant has conducted extensive negotiations with CPWD. Since we're detailing what he's done, if you have specific language,
Okay.
that'd be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that if everybody else feels like that's all right.
It is encouraging always to hear
Yeah,
agencies getting along.
Yeah, see, no, it doesn't happen often, so.
Do I have to state my name? No, I can just talk.
You can just talk. You have a name
I
tag
guess
in
from
front of
my
you.
own edification, in a situation like this, is it typical to ask for extensions? I mean, when you go into a project, my sense is that all the folks involved in a project understood the steps that we have to take. I support the extension, but I'm just curious if does this typically happen with projects? Because even though they know what the scope is and they understand the steps, somehow they get tripped up in the process?
Commissioner Chimente, yes, it is typical. And an extension of time could be because of several reasons. In this particular case, they're having specific issues with coordinating and getting permits issued, but it is typical. And sometimes it could be maybe there's a particular condition of approval that they are unable to meet, or there's a specific language in there that needs to be reviewed, but it's not atypical that we have this kind of request.
And I've followed this project for a long time. It has a long storied history. It's had changes in ownership, changes in permitting, just issues. And changes with PG&E that increased the negotiation time dramatically. I mean, they were working on this when they were here last time. So I remember the discussion at the time and asking them if they thought that that would be sufficient time for them to be able to get through to construction. These kinds of projects are so complicated
Yes.
that even if you think you understand all the steps,
So does the commission have the discretion to grant more than a year to
2
complete?
years.
2
I mean,
years.
2 years?
Yes, they can do 2 extensions of 1 year each, or a single 2-year extension. But can I just speak a little bit more to your comment there?
Sure.
We've never had a project like this before.
Okay.
We don't typically get a lot of use permits. Extensions are primarily for maps, parcel maps, for example. When you have a very large list of conditions from Public Works, it's pretty obvious you're going through the conditions and you're ticking them off. This is a facility that is starting from the ground up. They have to clear trees, they have to do grading. They had, a ton of consultation and previous, requirements in terms of biological and cultural studies and environmental documents and that sort of thing. There's so much groundwork that needs to be done before they can even get going on anything. And this, if you look at the resolution for the approval of the CUP, there's only a few things, and it's really just mainly, 3 or 4 things from Public Works for the stormwater and the grading and improvement plans. I think extensions for use permits are tricky for the findings. Our code just isn't really, and hopefully that's something that we're going to work on. But when a use permit gets approved, they only have until the end of the next year. And since they were approved in November, they really only had 13 months to do a bunch of groundwork to get the project going. So it is it's a little tricky. It's complex.
Yeah, and this is a pretty innovative project with a lot of entities involved in it. So it's not something anybody is very familiar with or could anticipate easily what all the stumbling blocks might be. So I think Maddie pointed out something really great in her narrative, which is that because of the way our ordinances are set up, the building permit is the triggering thing to say, yes, we've completed it. But the building permit is the simplest piece of this project. All the things leading up to the building permit are the tricky parts.
I'm just encouraged that this project is still proceeding. It's a wonderful, innovative project, and I'm not implying that you're questioning that, but the problems that they were all set for an agreement with PG&E, and PG&E goes bankrupt the week before they were going to get
And was able to terminate all of those in process.
Yeah, and so, I'm sure there have been many times when people who were driving this project have just felt that it was impossible, and I'm so pleased that they are still in there plugging away and optimistic that it's going to happen, and apparently have some very positive things happening right now. So I just am very pleased to see it still alive, and I hope in 2 years they'll be able to get where they need to be.
So are all of the commissioners happy with the new wording provided by Commissioner Laddish? And would be satisfied with swapping that into item 2 of. And Maddie, do you see anything there that troubles you? No?
I do have a couple of questions about the rest of the resolution.
Yeah, sure. But
But maybe you should propose the
sounds like
resolution.
everyone's happy with that. Okay, let's hear the next question.
Okay, since we didn't have public comment, the whereas clause that includes public comment, and public comment can be taken out on page 1.
In our standard
Yeah.
blurb.
And On page 2 of the resolution, paragraph 1 at the top, on the third line, it can be seen with certainty that there is no possibility that the activity in question, or are we talking about the extension?
The extension.
So should we then put in the word extension instead of activity? And bottom of page 2 and the top of page 3, the sentence says, "In this case, the applicant must obtain approval of all the other permits prior to the issuance of a building permit, and without the building permit, the use cannot commence and the permit cannot be activated. The project must be near completion before the use permit is considered to be valid." I don't understand exactly what we're talking about. I know, I mean, they have to have a building permit to get started, but what do you mean by the use permit is considered to be valid? And that the project needs to be near complete. Near completion to me is almost finished with construction, and et cetera.
Sure.
And should it be validated?
Yes, considered to be valid is not correct.
I think it probably needs to say that project permitting must be complete before the use permit is considered to be validated.
I think that's great. I understand that. And I think that's it.
Wow. Good job, Madeline.
Yes. It's so nice to see you back.
Anything in that previous sentence that you wanted me to amend?
No, I was just, I read it just to get into the context.
Okay. I think we are ready to hear the recommendation.
So staff recommends the Planning Commission approve Resolution 2023-001 as amended, approving extension of time 2022-055 for approved conditional use permit 2020-074 for the Blue Mountain Electric Company, extending the activation date 24 months to expire December 31st, 2024, for the construction and operation of a community-scale 3-megawatt biomass combined heat and power facility based on the findings and conditions contained therein.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, having a motion with the amended
Yes.
resolution.
Yeah, I move that the commission adopt the resolution as amended.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So I'm so happy to say that it passes on a 5-0-0 vote with the full commission.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and good luck with the project.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we have item 2.
Continue.
2022-031 Plan Development Permit for John and Mariana Jeffries. This was an item continued from our previous meeting, and a request to continue it again to March 23rd, 2023.
I so move.
Yeah. You don't feel like you need to hear anything from Gina? Okay. So,
second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Any opposed?
Oh, yes.
And now, we have no informational items. Are there any commissioner reports? Nope. Earlier this week, I attended a workshop in Roseville that was planning for wildfires, and it was about half of the attendants were CAL FIRE and local fire officials, and the other half were planners from counties in California. It's one of 8 workshops being given in California on this topic and how we can improve our general plans, specific plans, conditions for projects to make our community safer from wildfire. It was very interesting, and they provided a lot of links and references and examples, case studies of things that other places are doing or have done. That's it. I never have any report. Isn't that exciting? I'm sure our planning director has something to update us on.
Madam Chair, members of the Planning Commission, thank you very much. We are, as you well know, we've commenced with the zoning ordinance update. I think around June, the community meetings and some of the other side activities related to the ordinance update itself they are going to commence. As I've said earlier, I expect there to be quite a few meetings in succession, because once we begin, we want to end the process. We don't want to take a break and then go away for a couple of months and then come back and do them. So once we start, we're going to have to go ahead and complete the process. Having said that, there are going to be other projects that are going to be coming into the pipeline as well. We expect the GHG measures to receive them by the end of April. So between April and June, we might have a few meetings regarding the completeness of that particular process. Now, once that process is complete, then the next step is actually adopting, a greenhouse gas program for the county. And there'll be other projects. Another one would be the Oak Woodlands Ordinance. That is going to be coming up as well, because that's been in the HAC for quite some time now, and eventually it's going to come to the Planning Commission. So with those major projects in the pipeline and with other applications that are being filed, I anticipate a very busy calendar for 2023. Thank you.
Now, as I recall, last meeting or the meeting before, it was stated it'd be appreciated if we let you know of vacation plans ahead of time.
Yes.
Some are formulating now.
Okay.
And so I'll just let you know. And then
Yes, please.
I guess there'd be no problem with my CCing every member of the Planning Commission with that factual bit of information.
I mean, you can, or you can just give it to Annette, and Annette can let us all know.
I'm sorry, what?
You can give it to Annette.
Ah, okay,
And she'll just,
okay.
She can officially distribute it.
Right. Yeah, but with 5 planning commissioners and, with Commissioner Ladish's absence, we will still have a quorum if all the other commissioners are here. This is not to undervalue your participation
You
in.
don't plan around so that you make.
Now that I am thinking about it, maybe I'll pick those dates when you're gone and bring the most controversial projects to the commission so we can get them through. Thank you. Thank you for your insights into the things that we do and, the perspective that you bring.
And on that happy note, we are adjourned at 10:39, no, 9:39. Wow.
Record.
Fantastic job, everybody.